You're listening to episode 107 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Matt Gersper.
Happiness is different for everybody. And what you need to have to be happy is enough capacity to take care of yourself and then to have more to give to others. Happiness defined totally and completely personally by doing things that you love, with people that you love, in places that you love, and the big and, it all provides value to others as well.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and welcome to Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we help you create an awesome life and lifestyle. From nutrition to fitness, mindfulness to peak performance, and relationships to money mindset, we bring you on an amazing journey to help you unleash your human potential. So here's a little bit about our guest today, Matt Gersper. He's an author, motivational speaker, and an entrepreneur. He is the founder of Happy Living, a health and wellness media and book publishing company. He's the author of Turning Inspiration into Action, The Belief Roadmap, and Inspiring Women. Matt believes a better self is always possible, today and every day, and he has dedicated the rest of his professional life to developing and sharing best practices for health and happiness. Happy Living is on a mission to improve the health and well-being of the world, one person at a time. Their team of Happy Living experts is searching for, experimenting with, and sharing ideas, experiences, and products for people wanting to improve their health and well-being. In his leisure, Matt loves to hike, paddleboard, laugh, read, think, and spend time with his wife and 4 children in their home at Lake Norman. Previously, in his previous life, Matt spent 30 years helping businesses in retail, accounts payable, auditing, and international trade compliance. He specialized in business process optimization and best practice development. Matt held roles responsible for not only starting, growing, and leading successful businesses, which include him being a vice president of strategic auditing, the founding entrepreneur of a startup, the president, and the chairman of the board. Matt was instrumental in negotiating the sale of his company, Customs Info, to the Descartes Systems Group in 2014. Matt graduated from the University of California, Davis, where he studied economics, played football, and pole vaulted for the track team. Immediately after college, he pursued his childhood dream of becoming a professional athlete, only to come up short with the unique distinction of being cut from 3 different football teams in 3 different leagues: the Canadian, the USFL, and the NFL. So without further ado, here's our guest today, Matt Gersper. Right, everybody, in the locker room today, we've got Matt from Happy Living. I am super amped to have you here because people think, hey, happiness is a neat topic, but what does it really have to do with my health, my life? Like, really, if I make a lot of money, do I need to be happy? So, Matt, I'm glad to have you here because I want you to dive into some of your story, but dive into really what happiness is. Because I know you have a whole, I won't say a pyramid, but, it's like a food pyramid almost of happiness. Yeah. So, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's interesting. We founded the company about 4.5 years ago, named it Happy Living. My daughter, who was working with me at the time, and my wife, actually, Josh, kind of talked me off the ledge of, I was envisioning something like extreme happiness. Like, you can, every day you can get better and all you got to do is be hard charging. And I was pitching this business to them and they were both they looked at me just panicked and they said, dude, you're going to be talking to the one other person in the world that's like you. And so they pulled it all the way back. Yes, you. They pulled it all the way back and they said, what about happy living? And I looked at my daughter and I said, well, that sounds good. Kayleen, is that URL available? And she went to her cell phone and she said, Dad, I got good news and I got bad news. She said, the good news is the site's available. The bad news is it's $10,000.
Wow.
And so I looked at my wife and I said, honey, what do you think? And she, without batting an eye, she said, it's the perfect name. So I went and got my credit card, we bought it, and then we started to build a business idea around it. And we started with our mission originated as improving the health and well-being of the world, one person at a time. And we're just now in the midst of a rebranding to a degree, switching from health and wellness to happy. Mm-hmm. And the reason I've been thinking, and I'll go through my pyramid that you mentioned a little later on, but I've been thinking that all the way through college, and I ended up signing with 3 different professional teams over 2 years in 3 different leagues. I'm one of the only people you'll ever meet that's been cut from the Canadian Football League, the NFL, and the USFL.
Wow.
And so that was really, that part of my life taught me a lot, mostly about having the courage to pursue a dream in spite of what other people think. Mm-hmm. And I'll come back to it also. I was trained in a methodology in college that I didn't realize until I was 50 years old. So I'll circle back to that because that's a big part of my story. So after I finally got cut the 3rd time, I finally gave up. It was the only time in my life I really think I touched on depression because I didn't know what the hell I was. And next thing I know, I was a dad, so I had to be a provider, and I got after that, and I really got into business. And so I found out, and I was actually much more suited for the business world than I was for the athletic world. But all the training I had in athletics really helped me with business. And so I went through, 2 or 3 different careers. And each step that I moved, I ended up learning different skill sets inside different companies as I was working as an employee. And finally, I was starting to be what I thought, kind of a big shot. And I thought I knew more than the bosses. And I started really pushing an agenda with the last company that I was employed at. And they didn't like how hard I was pushing, and they showed me the door. Yeah. So technically, I was a good employee, so they couldn't fire me, so I got laid off. But meanwhile, I was out of a job, and I had about 6 months worth of running room. And so I immediately started a competitive company to do what I wanted them to do. And it was basically moving from manual processes to automation. They were reluctant to do that. I said, that's where we have to go. And so I started that process. And before I could get that off the ground, I got a call from a former colleague whose husband wanted to buy a customs business. And I didn't even know what customs was. It's very popular in the news these days, international trade and tariffs and all that stuff. And so, make a long story short, we ended up buying this company for about $1.5 million. It had been purchased 4 years earlier for about $3 million, had lost money and was kind of in bad shape. So we bought it, and we launched a startup that did similar, was synchronous with the company, totally synergetic. Mm-hmm. I launched this as a startup, and we bought this one, and we built those over 10 years. We merged them together at the end. I ended up being chairman of the board, which is cool. So I got to be a president of my own company and then chairman of the board of the dual company, and just kept learning, new skill sets and new experiences. And then we got right when everything was just humming. And this business had what I call the perfect formula for any business, any entrepreneurs out there. If you can find a business that you love, which I did, I loved what I was doing, a business that has no geographic boundaries. We sold our services all over the world. We had customers in 21 countries at the time we left, which is really cool. A business that has near zero marginal cost. So that means once you build something, you can sell it over and over and over again without incurring costs, like a musician does, mm-hmm. right? Or like an author, or like insurance. Near zero marginal cost. And the fourth attribute is highly recurring revenue. So your customers come back, it's like a subscription. Yes. And we had all those. And we were making money hand over fist. And then we got this offer. It was for like $42 million. And I went around to I was the largest shareholder in my company, but we had 10 other investors. And I went around to every one of them and I said, look, you can't take the proceeds from the sale and invest it anywhere and make as much money as you'll make with our company next year. And we'll still own the business. But it was so much, it was enough money. It was bright and shiny. Mm. We had some political problems in the company also. And so we sold it I was the only no vote. I didn't have enough to stop it. And so that was really the catalyst of, it was at that time when I moved into the chairmanship and I was starting to think about pulling out of the business. And I was starting to think about what was I going to do next. And I went on my second annual hike down the Grand Canyon. I had recently been divorced, which was a 24-year divorce, but it was a good thing. I mean, it turned out to be a liberating thing for me. And I had read a book called Good to Great, which is about, a company that is doing good for a period of time, and all of a sudden they hit an inflection point, and then they do so much better than everybody else. They start performing great. And that was my vision. I thought, I've had a good life. I've raised 2 kids, I've been successful, but now I can have a great life. I just need to define that. And then there was another book I was reading called Halftime. The author is Bob Buford. And he talks about, how the normal American process, you kind of do what you're supposed to do, go to school, get married, get your job, do your career. Then the kids leave and you find yourself at midlife. You can do your job with your hands tied behind your back, but you're unfulfilled. And so at that time, some people just kind of trail away into retirement, and other people reconnect with that thing, that passion that they had inside them before they lost it. And they take off in their second half. So all these things were kind of swimming in my little brain as I was hiking by myself down the Grand Canyon. And I came up with this idea of creating a company that would teach people my age, and I really didn't focus on my age, but that would teach people to believe as I do, that every day is an opportunity to get better at something. No matter if you're 10 or 30 or 50 or 95 years old, every day I can do something better than I did the day before. And if that's my mindset, that's a very uplifting, a very happy experience. And you get a lot of stuff done that way. So that was kind of the catalyst for happy living. And I started working on it, from the day as I was walking back up that hill, very, very long hill.
Yeah, I've done it.
That's the Grand Canyon. And so we started putting happy living together after that.
That's great. I mean, that's just the environment you were in had to add something, being in nature and quiet, without distractions everywhere. I mean, that was almost like the universe talking to you, saying, you got to do something here.
It's funny you mentioned that, because the universe is a real and very powerful force, and it's at the core of the second book I wrote called Turnin Inspiration into Action, and it's real. And so for me, that's where when I had issues or opportunities or things I wasn't quite sure about, that's what I would do. I would just go off on a long hike, as long as I possibly could do, without trying to think about it really. Just kind of letting it sit in the back, that I know this is something I need to come up with, but waiting for it to come to me instead of trying to go to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you become an open book. I mean, and let things come to you. So that's the creation of happy living. This is neat. So now the company's created, now things are starting to move. Once we got that $10,000 URL, which is so cool. Which is so cool. But we get the URL. We start to build, and I'm hearing this in my head before I'm saying it, is that with those keys of being an entrepreneur, they're starting to fall into place also in this world as well, in happy living too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a post a while ago, and I'm not sure I'll be able to explain it exactly right. Have you heard of Metcalfe's law?
I have not. Maybe if you describe it, but not the name.
So you'll probably understand it. It's the cumulative power of networking.
Okay.
And a scientist, I think he was a scientist, economist or something, named Metcalfe. He came up with the idea that a network is exponentially more powerful based on every member that joins a network. And he originally, when he defined the law, he said a fax machine by itself has no value. When there's 2 people using 2 different fax machines, that increases the value. When there's 1 million people in the fax network, it's way more valuable. And so we see that today in our networks. So many networks that we live in. in this modern world. What you talked about is tapping into my entrepreneurial experiences. What I think it is, what I think wisdom is as you go through life, we all have experiences. And I might have had an experience in football that I then was able to match up with an experience I had in business, and maybe something that I got from one of my kids as a father. And those three things were unique to me and now enable me to look at something everybody else sees, but see something differently in it.
Okay.
And so it says it's my network of experiences, and your network of experiences gives you more powerful every experience that you take on.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I think it is. And when I discovered that, I thought, that's really interesting. And I think that's been my experience in my life.
That's okay. That's an interesting way to think about it. It's almost like, how someone even looks at artwork. Like a painting of a red wall may cost $10 million, and
Yes.
I would look at it, but I'm not an artist, and go, $10 million? I think, give me a paintbrush and a gallon of red paint. I'm good to go. Type of thing. But it's it's pretty neat. So can you go into the foundations of happy, the pyramid, what that means? But I want to start to describe this, because then we want to get a little maybe nerdy, sciencey with you, if we don't mind.
I don't mind. I'm not a scientist, and I might be a nerd, so we might have that in common. So when a big mistake that I made when I started the company, and I knew I was making it, is you're supposed to have a niche, right? And my plan was to improve the health and well-being of the world one person at a time, with no geographic limitation, with no age barriers. But that's stupid. You never should do anything like that. And so I was really trying to, okay, what can I do to constrain what we're going to research about, what we're going to talk about, what we're going to write about, what we're going to publish books about? How can I contain it? And I started off with what we call the foundations of health, and they're migrating into the foundations of happy. So I'll give them to you in that language now. And it's a pyramid, 4 blocks in the bottom, 2 blocks in the middle, and a block on top. And the 4 blocks on the bottom are all about building personal capacity to be more. And it's the capacity that anybody needs if you want to be happy, in my opinion. You have to have the capacity to take care of your own needs. It's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, that's different experiences coming together and doing something a little different.
World.
So exactly. So the capacity to become more, and then have something left over so you can give. And so for me, as I was originally thinking about capacity, it was the 4 fitnesses. And it's physical fitness, which includes exercise and nutrition and all things for the physical body.
Yep.
Mental fitness, spiritual fitness, and what made us really different in the health and wellness industry, and you touch on this in the Lifestyle Locker, is financial fitness. A lot of people don't like to talk about finance. It gets them nervous. But ladies and gentlemen, we need money in this world, or you need currency. Whatever the currency is, to make things happen, you need to have that. So we created the 4 fitnesses. Lately, I've been, as I've been rebranding my thinking a little bit, those 4 fitnesses are kind of my fitnesses. That's what makes me happy. That's what gives me capacity. And as we were talking about before, if you're a musician, you might not need so much physical strength. You might need more spirituality or something different that builds your capacity.
Yes.
But you need capacity. So I would say, first of all, define how you build capacity in your life so that you can take care of yourself. You feel good and healthy and strong to do whatever you like to do, and you have extra capacity to give. The 2 middle blocks we defined as love and adventure. And love is a lot more than romantic love. It's like doing things you love. It's like recognizing places you love, things, dogs and pets and family members, and just love, right? And the more love you can bring into your life, that love and adventure for me is where you find discovery, where you find who you are meant to be on this planet, not who your parents think you should be, not what culture says you should be. Well, Matt, you're a 57-year-old white man, so you should be doing this. Or, Josh, you're considerably younger. Wow, a lot younger it looks like from our discussion. But you know what I mean. Cultural expectations put so much of a burden on people. And so what happens is you feel a pull to do something, and then you get it smacked right out of you, and your heart says, I want to do A, and your head says, you can't do it for this reason and that reason and this, and all of a sudden you find yourself saying, I can't do it.
Yeah, the self-talk, the negative
The
self-talk.
Yeah. So I find for me, love and adventure, you can define it what you mean, however it means to you. For me, it's going on long, hikes and paddle boarding and hanging out with my family and all kinds of different things that I love to do and adventures that I like to go on. But that puts me in a place of discovery. And then the tip top, we used to call significance. Now we're calling it happy. It means the same thing. And we define it as doing, I'd say work, but you can say things. I think human beings need to work. It may not be something you get paid for, but it's work. It's you're doing stuff.
Do the work, right?
Doing work you love,
yeah,
with people you love, in places you love. That's awesome if you can do all those things.
Yeah.
And then if you can add the kicker, this is the magic of life. If doing this adds value to others, that's happy.
Yeah. Contribution.
That's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, and I love that you had the way you have that organized, and that middle block with love and adventure. I think adventure, and I would say if you're a human being listening to this, you have to be able to connect outside of like the four walls of your home or wherever your apartment. Like being in nature becomes very inspiring. I mean, and look what it's helped you create yourself alone. But for myself, if I walk out, I mean, I'm in New York and it's, I don't know, 40 degrees outside right now. And I go out on a daily basis in the morning. My wife thinks I'm absolutely nuts. We have about like an acre and a half, 2 acres of property. And I have put my robe on. I grab my bulletproof coffee, get my dog. We go outside, and I go out in my robe. Yeah. I'm wearing my robe, sometimes barefoot, sometimes, and we have, it's funny, we have, I have neighbors. I have a church that's right in front of me through the woods. So in the winter, it's different because now everybody can see
you.
But, I go out, but just being grounded and being in nature and being in the quiet is such a magical experience. It really is. And I think that's one little thing that people can do just out of this, all this. I mean, they need to do everything, but that may make a big shift in a lot of different areas for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think as I've thought about adventure, nature's great. And nature is an automatic one, especially if you're not in nature a lot.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the big thing, is getting outside of your normal in a place that feels not even necessarily good for you. Sometimes an adventure is you're getting a little bit uncomfortable. You're stretching yourself a little bit. It may be that you're reading, this really great book that is giving you these insights. It might be a historical book of somebody you love. It might be a novel, but it might get, it's taking you out of your normal day to day and getting you in a receptive mode. Mm. And so I think, we can have adventure in a lot of different ways. Okay. We can experience love in a lot of different ways. But I think the key is, you mentioned, I think before we got on the air, it's creating that opportunity for things to come into you.
Yeah.
Right. For the universe to enter and say, Josh, you're meant to be a chiropractor. Yeah. That's your gig. But that's not totally. It's also going to be this lifestyle locker thing. Yeah. It's going to be the combination of these things. And when you discover that, then it's not work anymore. You're kind of playing life.
Yeah, it's fun. It becomes fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and so people don't have this. I'm not like, Facebook, like we say, is everybody's like highlight reel, or social media is like the highlight reel. Right. Listen, myself, I'm sure you, Matt, as well, we all have stress in our lives. Absolutely. And we all have to respond to it in as healthy as we can. We may react here and there, but that's, if we're open to those things that are adventurous, and I love the word stretch that you use, right? Like stretching our comfort zone. It's not that you have to jump out of it where you can like harm your health and your life,
Yeah.
but you can stretch it enough that like, that's scary, or I'm reading this book that I normally wouldn't read, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I need to do that, and getting that download, if you will, from the universe,
Yeah.
right? It's like, holy
Yeah.
moly, I should be doing this and listening
Yeah. Yes, listening.
and taking action, right?
And then paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And so jump in this, because this pyramid of happy is really neat. And I know you're taking it, we spoke pre-call that you're taking this to the next level. You're creating a center, if you will, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
A center of happy, which is in a beautiful setting. And I'll let you talk about it, because I think this is a really neat concept that's going to really, I think individuals will love it, but I also think like you may have to get a bigger place, because you may have companies wanting to show up.
We'd love that. So I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I moved part of my life plan and my wife's plan. We always wanted to live on a lake, and so we made a lifestyle choice to move from Camp Verde, Arizona, to Lake Norman, North Carolina. I'm sitting up on my second floor office right now, overlooking this beautiful lake right out there. In the summertime, I sit on my patio and do all my work, overlooking the lake, watching all of a sudden an osprey will drop out of the trees on my property and pluck a fish out of the lake. And it's just spectacular. And it's something I've really wanted to share with people. When we got into happy living, my previous work, I had a lot of interaction with customers and clients. And as we talked also pre-air, I'm not doing coaching. I'm really basically just doing a lot of writing. We have about 400 blog posts. I've written 3 books. We've published 4 other books. So we're doing a lot of broadcasting of all things happy for us and picking up, readers and building our community and doing all that stuff. But I'm really missing this social contact. And last year we went to a conference. It's the 3rd time we've gone there. This conference called the World Domination Summit up in Portland, Oregon.
Very cool.
It's great. It's a great summit. And one of the things that they do is they let attendees host meetups where you can basically host your own events. And they have an intranet, where you can market your events and other attendees show up at your meetups. And this year, make a long story short, we ended up renting an Airbnb yacht, a 25-foot yacht on the Willamette River. And that's where we hosted our meetings. And they were just spectacular. And the connection and everything was just deeper and richer. And so we started thinking, we need to figure out a way that we can bring people together and we can talk about our all things happy, explore significance, explore these concepts that we're writing about with real people.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, maybe we'll do Airbnbs and just rent them out. And that would be a good model. Except technically, you're not supposed to have parties and all that. So it felt like I was stretching it a little bit. And I thought, well, let's just buy a house. Let's buy another house on Lake Norman. And we found this amazing place, Josh. It's like it could fit. It's almost all brick, inside and out. It has a 25-foot window.
Oh, wow.
That the kitchen looks over right onto the lake. It was designed by an architect. We've got this big, huge barn door that is a blind for the window in the in the dining room. We just put a big shuffleboard table down there. It's just gorgeous. It's going to end up being 7 bedrooms, 4 baths. We'll be able to sleep about 20 people at its full capacity. And we want to, we're going to do 2 things. We're first of all going to offer it. It is offering right now as an Airbnb or a vacation rental. Mm-hmm. So just people can share in the lake. Mm-hmm. We're going to have all of our Happy Living books in the house. And if you were to rent it out for your family and you had 10 people, each of the 10 people could choose whichever book they want as just a little gift. So we're going to start doing a little bit of play that way. But the real thing that we're excited about, we were going to host, your more traditional retreats. So come back and maybe Josh would be our guest star for a retreat, and you'd teach people all things chiropractic, or you would give them a seminar on the lifestyle locker, and it'd be this education like you would think of as a retreat. And so when I brought my team together, we actually rented an Airbnb as we were concocting this, and the 4 of us got together and we lived there for 3 days, and we talked about what we wanted to do. And what we came up with was kind of a shift, like almost everything I've done in life and business is a little bit different. What we're going to do is make it like a vacation. So we invite Josh to be our guest star. We're actually going to call him our guest star.
Very cool.
You'll stay in the master suite of the house. We'll market the event to say Josh is going to be there. Actually, our first one is a guy who runs a company called Third Rock Essentials. Mm-hmm. He's making personal care products that are not only work, but they're so non-toxic you can eat them.
Cool.
They're great. And he's actually a patent attorney. So our first session is going to be for entrepreneurs who want to understand why they should trademark or patent what they do. And so there will be a little bit of curriculum. Our second one's going to be a lady that does yoga and energy reading. Mm-hmm. And so there will be a little bit of teaching, and we'll invite people who are interested in those subjects, of course.
Yeah.
But about half the time, we're just going to be on vacation. We're just going to be hanging out together. We're going to be using my pontoon boat that holds 16 people, and we'll have our paddle boards there, and we can go out in the lake, and we can take people to breakfast on the lake.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah. And so Happy Living, three of us, will be like the hosts of the vacation, and the guest star will be the host of the retreat, and we're going to smash those two things up together and have a great time and do what you do on vacation, which is talk about the serious things of life and relax and get outside of your comfort zone and have these thoughts come to you.
Yeah.
And what I'm really excited about is develop connections and maybe ideas that we'll be able to take to the next level that you can't do in the social media world.
Yeah.
Right?
Very inspirational. I mean, this is like the inspiration station, this house. I think it's gonna bring a lot out. Don't steal that name. I'm just kidding.
Just wrote it down. Well, you know what? One of the things I thought about as we've been putting this together, and we haven't rented it yet. It's just starting December 15th to January 15th. We're doing a trial run. Then we're going to do some remodeling and add some more capacity to the house, back to capacity.
Of course.
And then we'll be good to go like towards the end of February. But what I'm envisioning, what I think is going to be the most important thing, is we're going to create so much happiness and so much good spirit in that place. I think it's going to become this magical, coolest, happiest place on the lake. Yeah. And I hope you can just feel it when you walk in. Yeah, that's my dream.
I mean, it sounds like it will definitely be a place to go. I mean, for the people that are going to rent it as an Airbnb, I think just being in that type of energy, and rather than picking up, some magazine, they're going to have these books in front of them that are like, oh, this is interesting. I can sit and read, and then you're inspiring people that are just, on holiday, if you will.
Oh, awesome.
And my personal experience with, I belong to a small group of entrepreneurs, and we meet, there's periodically, but 20 of us, but it's so different than us doing it on a computer screen. I mean, there's so much more that comes from it.
Yeah. So we think there's really 3-4 markets for us. One is just the vacation rentals. And of course, we'll have that available just to the public whenever we're not using it. The second is our Happy Living vacation retreats, which we're excited about. And we want to do maybe 6 or 8 of those a year. The third would just be like-minded practitioners like you and me that would say, this is a perfect place for me to get together with 12 of my colleagues, and we can do a deep dive. And then the fourth is like corporations, right? Yeah. So the executives want to get a retreat. We'll have 7 separate sleeping areas with queen beds in them. So it's going to be pretty good capacity, and it should be a lot of fun, and I hope we fill it up, and I hope a lot of people just get a lot of joy out of the lake. Is amazing. It's an amazing part of the lake, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. So let's kind of take like a right turn for a second, because I'm liking this the concept of happy and how you've allowed it to not only help you transform your life, and now you're doing what you're saying you're teaching people to do, is you're helping inspire others and show happiness to other people with this. Are there other books on the horizon? Are there, anything else happy on the horizon for you? I know that the home is a big thing, but I'm just curious.
Well, so a couple of things. I started writing books. I wrote a book called The Belief Roadmap, which basically this describes my pyramid. It
Okay.
describes it in the old language, but it's basically all there. And that was kind of our starting point. I wrote my second book called Turnin Inspiration to Action, and it's all about it's this human nature that you get inspired one day, and all the enthusiasm from that inspiration is gone the next. And it's a deep dive into that, and it includes a lot of my personal story. So that's what I call my big book. And then in that process, we were just really looking at writing books for the company. And next thing I know, the universe speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine, actually not a friend of mine, my dad says, "Hey, Matt," my dad's a UC Berkeley professor, a soil scientist, and he's 82 years old now. 82. After I started Happy Living, after I published my first two books, he says, I've been working on a novel for the last 5 years. Would you publish it?
Cool.
What? What are you talking about, Dad? What's it about? It's Love Letters from the Grave, and it's a story about his late aunt and uncle. And it's a beautiful story. It actually fits perfectly in our pyramid.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And all of a sudden I was a publisher. But it was my dad, so it didn't really count. Next thing I know, I got a friend. Hey, I convinced him he was a playwright, and he had written 2 plays. So we converted one of his plays into a book. Now I'm almost a real publisher.
Yeah.
And then I published 2 others. So we're a publishing company now, and I'm really as excited about giving that voice to other authors than I'm thinking about my own next book. And I'm not really going to think about my own next book. It's going to come to me or it won't. I'm just not going to worry about it. But I think this house is going to be a catalyst for so many things that I can't imagine where it's going to go. And I'll just give you 2 quick examples. I mentioned, I'm not going to mention the names, but it's already the connection by inviting guest stars and by doing a little bit of a deep dive. I've already moved into a marketing engagement where we've learned a lot of social media marketing. We're doing video trailers now, and our the 7th book, the author is this amazing copyright. He's a wizard with words. My son, who hosts my pod, runs the back end of the website and does everything at Happy Living. He's got this beautiful radio voice, and I've been playing with Final Cut and iMovie, becoming a little video guy. And so we put together, John writes copy for something, Kyle gives his beautiful voice to it, and I put it to a video. And so we're creating this marketing thing that we're using for Happy Living. Well, now we've been engaged to do that service for others.
How cool
which is cool.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that came directly from the house, and we haven't even opened the house yet. I had a friend, my youngest daughter's friend, dad, who's a NASCAR. He cut his teeth on NASCAR as a metal fabricator.
Okay.
He's 25 or 30 years into metal fabrication. He got out of NASCAR because of some layoffs and cutbacks, and so he's been running his own fabrication shop for 20, 25 years. And he just came to me the other day and says, "Matt, I have this idea. I want to combine metal and wood and create furniture, home furnishings." And I thought, and he could you help? I'm an entrepreneur, and he was just looking, are there any synergies? I said, we need some stuff for the Happy Living house. Would you be interested in building us some custom furniture? Yes, I would. So we're actually going to start a little custom furniture business, patio furnishings. I saw he made his wife, they had an anniversary the other day, he made this beautiful metal rose. So we might have a little flower pot with some metal flowers and available from Happy Living for $55 or whatever. So I just think that I'm just going to let things kind of flow and pay a lot of attention to where opportunities are. And then where it fits for us, then we'll act on those opportunities.
Yeah.
So I think the house is going to be it's going to be a good catalyst for us, I think.
So let me jump in just for one last second, because I want to connect a couple dots for maybe even for you, but you probably know some of this, the sciencey, nerdy stuff. Is that, and then we mentioned this a little before we got on the we hit the record button, is that we have the pyramid here. We've got all these the different fitnesses, which are like the mental, physical, financial, spiritual. But if we dive into the science behind some of happiness, you change the neurochemicals in the body. You change your actual physiology by one, smiling alone, and 2, being happy. And I don't have any of the research in front of me, but I'm sure we could find it is that people that are happier live longer.
Yeah.
People that are happier fight diseases better. People that are happy, do everything better, have better relationships, have better businesses, have better stuff. I mean, all these different areas of their life. So for those of you who are listening, I urge you to jump onto happyliving.com and start scrolling. Just start going through some of the articles, look at some of the books, listen to some of the audio. There's a lot of great things in there that are going to help you maybe connect, and like we said, get maybe a little out of that comfort zone or stretch that comfort zone a little bit so you can actually improve your lifestyle. But then when we improve that lifestyle from the heart and soul of us and the happiness, it can translate in all of these different areas in your life. You got to be first before you have. Yeah. Right? You got to be, then do, then have. So
couldn't agree more.
That's my little mini message after this conversation, because I think it's an important piece. Well, not my message, your message, but it's an important piece that people know that you have a profound impact on your overall life, and then it'll automatically go to everybody else.
Yeah, and let me just add on to that.
Yeah.
So you're out there, and I've been in times in my life when I just couldn't spend much time on things that made me happy. I just had too many things I had to do. And so, you can think of your life and say, well, great, you sold a company and you can now play happy living. Well, that's true, but that's not the point. The point is you need to figure out what it is that makes you happy and what it is you're currently doing. And if you can find, maybe you want to play the guitar, or maybe you want to be an artist, or maybe you want to do whatever it is. If you can figure out, if you're not doing any of it now, and you can figure out that you can spend 1% of your time on it and 99% of the time on things that you have to do, and just over time keep changing that ratio.
Yep.
And I was thinking about this the other day, that maybe when you get it to 100% doing what you should, maybe that's what enlightenment is. Yeah, I don't know what enlightenment is, but that's the thought that came to me. And that transition is something that any of us can do. And you need to think about things that you're currently doing, really give some thought to it. And if it doesn't make you happy and it's not serving you, or people you're hanging out with, if you're hanging out with people that don't make you happy and make you feel bad, and you stop hanging out with them, that's about the fastest thing you can do to improve your health and wellness, your happiness. And what Josh is saying is exactly right. Happiness it's a force of health. It feels great.
Yeah,
it feels great.
I agree. So the best place for people to find you, right, is happyliving.com.
Happyliving.com.
And I want to make sure in the show notes, what we're going to have all your details. We're going to have the social media handles, the podcast. We're going to connect you to connect everybody to everything Happy Living, because I know it's a group, it's family venture. I'm sure it's bigger than that. But I want to make sure people get involved with this, because it's something that's hopefully very inspirational to you, where it'll help you take that deep dive into being a better you. Fair?
Fair. Awesome.
Awesome.
And we do. Can I mention a couple of free gifts?
Yeah, love it.
So if you sign up for the website, we give away a book. The book that we're giving away currently is our Belief Roadmap.
Perfect.
But we're doing something that's a little bit different also, that's gift related. And if you friend me on Facebook or LinkedIn, and if you're who's not using LinkedIn or Facebook, you get these birthday notifications, right? Today I had 10 birthday notifications that came into my screen. So we created, we're doing birthday gifts, and they change every year. So currently, all of my friends get a free copy of Turnin Inspiration to Action, and a coaching program from a guy named Joe Jacoby, who's a friend of mine, who is one of 2 Olympic gold medalists, the only 2 have ever won gold medals in whitewater events, him and his partner, in canoeing back in Barcelona.
Wow,
and
very cool.
Joe's he lives in Barcelona now, and he has a 5-week coaching program that we give for free also on your birthday. So if your birthday is between now and the end of the year and you friend me, you'll get those gifts. If not, you'll be on the 2019 gift package, whatever it happens to be. and it's for every year, so it can pay off.
Wow, I think that's man, talk about giving back. That's amazing. I got to find you on LinkedIn now. That's my
I actually sent you a connection today.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm in there for you.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Matt, this has been a great conversation. I want to thank you again, and we'll be having conversations again. I'm sure of it. Maybe in the house.
Thank you, Josh. It was a pleasure.
Hey, everyone. Super amped that you had a good time on that episode with Matt Gersper. What a happy guy. Super smart, super intelligent, and can you imagine this guy from doing what he did in business before is creating a company on happiness. I think that's so amazing, and his mission is out there to make people happy one person at a time, or make the world happy one person at a time. So connect with him on social media, especially Facebook and LinkedIn, because you do get those birthday notifications, and I'll tell you what, I want to get one of those gifts myself, and I'm sure you do too. They will definitely help make you happier, help you grow personally, and that's totally helpful for a awesome lifestyle. And we're into helping people unleash their human potential, so make sure you do connect with him there. All his details about happy living will be in the show notes, and make sure you connect with us if you have not connected with us yet on social media, everything from LinkedIn to Twitter to Instagram to Facebook. Friend me, find me. I love to connect with all of you. And last piece of the puzzle, if you're loving what you're hearing, head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. It makes a difference for us, and it makes a difference for our guests, because their information is so important to the world, and you're going to help spread the word. So thank you so much. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, and night, wherever you are in the world and whenever you're listening. All right, peace out.